To me, awakening doesn't really have anything to do with a practice. I can see why some spiritual teachers give you practices. Because, for example, when you are focusing or becoming aware of your breath, it seems that you're getting closer to the feeling of letting go. But, as soon as you think that breathing and being aware of breath will get you closer and closer and closer the longer you do it towards liberation, it will turn it into a prison. Because it makes you feel that by doing a practice and by getting better at it, it makes you more and more and more liberated. But you're still the liberator. You're still the one that's in control. You're still the one that's doing something right in order not to do it wrong. And then you think that you have a benefit for yourself. So you are a spiritual person, a separate spiritual person who is trying to do a practice so you have a benefit that others don't have. And that's not really non-duality. So that's why I can totally understand why Krishnamurti said that practices they have nothing to do with the truth. On the contrary, when you are letting go of all practices, then the only thing that remains is the truth. Because you're really practicing so that you can feel liberated, feel carried by life. But as long as you think that you have to earn that, then it is a contradiction, because if you have to earn being carried by life, then that's not really being carried by life. It's like you have your own little intelligence in yourself that is separate from the intelligence of life. And that small intelligence has to bring effort to earn a gift from life, or to earn grace. But it's really not like that. So if you do a practice, then please don't think that you're doing this practice because you're getting better at being spiritual. But you're doing a practice to learn how to let go. The end is really just about letting go, and to not have a practice anymore. At this time, when I'm meditating, I'm not really doing anything. Meditation to me doesn't include being aware of breath or being aware of something called the present moment. I don't have to become aware of the present moment. I am the present moment. And it sounds so magical. But it's really just a letting go. No longer clenching your fist. It's really just ease the tension and just let go. And just stop all practices and be with what is. Because, and that's not hard to do actually. We think that we have to practice something in order to feel that we have power to make the pain go away. For example, if you have intense shame or guilt or sadness or anger inside of you, then you come to the idea that you may start to meditate to make it easier for you. And then you get a practice how to meditate, and then someone tells you just be aware of your breath, and then the anger seems to go away. But it's not really going away. It's just that you're no longer feeding this anger with your thoughts about the anger. But thinking is just a natural process of the brain. So it's just meditating to suppress a natural part of your physiology. So meditation has nothing to do with really suppressing anything, or to become aware of something that is different from what is. But it's really just about being with what is and having no defense mechanism against it. Really becoming soft and opening up. Because what you'll recognize in the beginning, it will feel like you're getting softer and weaker. But then you'll recognize that actually your deepest core is unbreakable, unshakable. It's the life itself, which is immortal. Life, it's the core of the separate self is soft. It's insecure. Because it knows that it can lose, it can die, it can make mistakes, it can, it's just flawed. But the separate self is arising out of something. And if you find that source out of which the separate self is coming, then you'll see that the core of that thing, life itself, is not insecure. It's just flowing. It's not really thinking. It's just spontaneously acting. And you are that. And again, it sounds so mystical, but really the only way to get there is to allow it. And allowing isn't something that you can practice. Letting go isn't something that you can practice. Even though in the beginning, when you feel like I cannot let go, I don't know how to let go, it can be helpful to say that letting go is something that you can practice. Because if you feel like you cannot practice letting go, and then you need to let go, and then someone is telling you that letting go is not a practice, then it gives you a sense of powerlessness. So you have power. There's a stage in which it's really good to feel that you have power, but in the end, liberation is the recognition that you don't need to have any power. No separate sense of power, some inner effort, tightness that you translate as power. You don't need that kind of power. It is a still power. It's a relaxed power. It is an intelligence that is not thinking. So the thing is just how can you practice letting go? How can you practice surrendering? Some people have asked me how to trust. And it's like in a relationship, you give a certain amount of trust to the other person before the person shows you that the person is trustworthy. You give trust first, and then you see what the person is going to do with that trust. You don't ask the person to do this and that and this and that, and then you give trust. You give trust first, and then you'll see what happens. What if I'm trusting the universe? Then I have to trust the universe first, and it's only then that the universe can prove to me that it's good, it has good intentions with me. It's that kind of thing that you have to do. So you can look at this kind of thing as a practice. Just sitting down and say, I trust, let's be open and see what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. I don't have a plan, it's just open for the new. Open to the unknown. What's going to happen. It's a kind of trust. But it's also a cessation of doing, cessation of having a technique, cessation of doing something against your pain. Because when you're in the ego, and the ego needs to have a technique, then you feel like you're a separate wave on the ocean. And the separate wave feels like I must make sure that I'm really behaving like a good wave. And only when the wave believes that it can be a good wave, that's when the wave can also believe that it can be a bad wave or a horrible wave. So that's when mistakes happen. But when you realize that it's in your nature to be a wave, because all there is the ocean, then you don't worry about it anymore. You are life. So you cannot live wrong, because it's in your nature to live. Life doesn't know how to live wrong, because life is life. Have you ever seen a wrong watering the wrong way? So you are doing it correctly, when you see that your nature is life itself and it's flowing through you. I haven't planned this video. It's really just deep inside I feel asleep. Not in a way that, you know, in a spiritual way that I'm asleep and totally caught in the ego, but it's like I'm relaxed deep inside. I'm almost not even memorizing what is going on right now. There's no tension in me, it's just words flowing through. There's no tension. It's like the ego is totally asleep. You know, so you relax. Krishnamurti was talking about right choice. Right choice cannot come from the ego because the ego wants to know if it is right. But as soon as your choices feel like they did not come from you, from the ego, from the little separate self, but they come from the same intelligence that is directing all of life, then it must be right choice. Then there is no doubt. You know, even if there is a conflict between you and another human being, the ego is immediately judging and saying that shouldn't have happened. That's definitely wrong. That's definitely something that shouldn't happen. It's evil. But in this deep letting go, you know that if a conflict happens, that there must be a deeper reason why it happened. It isn't just a fail. It's not flawed. Everything that happens for a reason. And it's not a reason that will, you know, when I say that everything happens for a reason, it makes you feel hopeful. It's like, I've been through so much negativity, everything happens for a reason, I'm going to get my reward in the afterlife. It's not that kind of reason. It's not the kind of reason that where we could say, I'm suffering, and therefore it's like I'm suffering to get a reward afterwards. But it's a deeper kind of reason. It's not an egoic reason. It's not a reason that where you can say, I'm seeing a benefit for me. But it's really just I'm surrendering, and whatever happens, I hope that, or it's not that I hope, it's that I feel that it couldn't have been any other way. It had to happen. And I'm not the one that needs to know why. So that's faith, because you simply trust the greater will, which is not a personal will, and you don't question it, because you know that there is no other will. It's home. It's the only thing that you can truly trust. A person who trusts isn't questioning. So even if things are full of conflict, you're in the midst of this conflict, and in your absence of trying to control this conflict, you know that it's okay. It can be here. So there's even room to find peace in the midst of conflict that happens outwardly, but deep inside it's like, okay. Sometimes on the ocean there's a hurricane, there's a big storm. It's just part of nature. Not something that you have to correct or fix. But if you stand in the way of it, it charges up. And it takes power, more and more power, to resist it. And as long as you're resisting it, it's charging up. And then at some point you don't have power anymore to resist it, so you let go. And that's when everything is just exploding, even worse. Yeah. So, someone asked me if I was talking about post-awakening. I'm not really talking about post-awakening. I don't know why this question came up even. I'm not talking about post-awakening, because awakening isn't something that you can earn. It is an open door that you can enter in right now. It is either you choose to believe that you are a separate thing that has to plan and carry its own burden, or you hand it over to the one that is carrying all burdens without having to suffer because of it. It all has to do with letting go of control, the need to control, and trusting that things will happen as they should.